I have got something great for you today. Shelly Millions is here. Now, like me, I know a lot of you are somewhere on your journey trying to start with nothing and build up wealth. Well, Shelly has been on the same journey, and her story is truly inspiring. She's got a ton of great information about how to build up passive income, how to stay motivated, and how to achieve your goals. She has her own YouTube channel with 33,000 subscribers. She's helping a ton of people over there. Link to Shelly's channel down below. And she's been featured on other channels like the Grant Navarre channel, which is a huge channel. I would say we're very lucky to have her here today. And I kind of like the conversation I'm about to share with you because none of it was rehearsed, none of it was scripted. She had no idea what I was going to ask her. And you won't believe what she's got to say. So hit that like button and let's get into it.
Subscribe.
Hey Shelly, welcome. Glad to have you here.
Thank you so much, J-Bay, for having me on today. I'm really excited about this.
Awesome. So in case people don't know who you are, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your YouTube channel?
Sounds good. I run the channel Shelly's Millions, which is a great name for the content that I wanted to make, which will focus on finance, budgeting, building wealth, all of those topics. But I started making videos on unemployment here in the state of California, where I know I live and I know you live here as well, as a way to get those videos to my employees who had all gotten furloughed. And as it turned out, a lot of people, not just the employees that I worked with, needed information on receiving unemployment benefits. So for the last year and a half, that is what my channel has focused on. And I've been happy to help get people the information that they need. So that's where I'm coming from.
Right. So just to be clear, are we blending kind of your personal story in with the information, or have you kind of put that on the back burner? What can we expect on your channel?
Well, I have let people know about my personal situation. I did not grow up wealthy, and I think that made me hyper aware that I needed to figure out how to take care of myself. You know, all the headlines say Social Security won't be available by the time you retire, which isn't exactly true. It's not that it won't be available. It just won't be as much as it is now. But growing up, when I was scared about not having any money when I retired, that's what got me started wanting to save and invest. Was just kind of the basic need that I wanted to take care of myself. And I definitely share these stories with my viewers. I go live on my channel pretty frequently. And so I do share those personal stories. But because of how messed up things have been with unemployment, every time I'm like, I want to make this video and give people a house tour, or my mom still lives in poverty, I want to make a video with her and share how much she lives off of as a senior on a fixed income in Los Angeles County. I want people to know those kinds of things to try and inspire them to save. And I share those stories. But every time I think I'm going to make a dedicated video about it, the unemployment situation gets worse here in California. And there I am making another unemployment video.
Right. But it sounds like part of the magic on your channel is that the people who your audience can really relate to you because you're living the same struggle that they are.
That's the goal. And you know, I hear so many people say you can't buy houses, you can't buy property in Los Angeles, you can't make it in California unless you have this crazy income. You can't make it at all as an American without a crazy income. The middle class is disappearing. And I don't think that's true. All of the success that I've had has come from just a pretty regular job that, of course, I got furloughed from when everything happened in 2020. But I very much believe that if you work hard and you're focused and with the right tools and knowledge, that you actually can get ahead. One of the things that I hear that makes me sad is that people don't plan on retiring. They have just decided that they're never going to have enough money in savings. There's never going to be a time in their life when they would be able to retire because they're not going to have the money to. Now, there's some people that don't want to retire because they enjoy working and they want to work for as long as they can. And that's fine. But I never want someone to feel like I'm in physical pain, but I can't stop working because I don't have the funds. If I could inspire one person to save, to invest, and to get ahead financially so that they can have a comfortable life that they want, and to not feel like they have to break their back working until the day they die. Like, that's the goal going forward.
I think that's such an important message. And I've checked out your channel quite a bit, but I have to admit, there is a lot of content. There is so much good information, which, by the way, link below.
Thank you.
But I'm going to kind of hit you here with something. What if I wanted some spark notes? Give me the top 5 takeaways from your channel.
Ask for help if you need it. Try and improve yourself just a little bit every day. Don't give up hope. Something that I've learned this year is that if you work for someone else, there's always going to be an upper income limit to how much you can make. So a lot of the people that I've been interacting with and the YouTube content that I watch all focuses on multiple income streams. So that is something that for way too long I slept on. I was like, oh, I think I'll be able to retire comfortably, but I was kind of doing the bare minimum. I was putting money into my 401k. I bought a little house. I think I'll be okay in my golden years. But why just be okay in your golden years if you can get there faster? But it does take extra work. It does take adding some side hustles, some additional streams of income. I wish I would have really done that much sooner in my life. And let's see, what's the 5th thing? I don't know, to be happy.
And how would you define happiness?
Free from worry. Like, that's something that has plagued me my whole life. I think probably because I grew up in poverty, I worry a lot, especially surrounding financial matters. And so for me to be happy, it's to know that I have a financial cushion to fall back on if something were to happen. And I know everybody's been through a lot the last year and a half, and I didn't feel financially comfortable. Also, try new things. I never would have thought that I would be doing YouTube. I'm not someone who feels really comfortable with technology. I'm not really somebody who's good with computers. And I think that YouTube is, I think of it as being technical, even if it's not. But I really got out of my comfort zone and pushed myself to learn some of these things. I'm still learning. So don't be scared to try new things and to pivot, even maybe your entire career, if you need to, in order to reach your goals.
Fantastic. And I think a lot of the stuff you're talking about is the type of information that can really hit home for almost everybody. I think there's very few people who feel like, I don't have any financial problems. So with that being said, I think there's a couple people who might feel discouraged just because of their circumstance. Let's say, for example, you're 50 years old and you're feeling like, I don't have enough time to do anything. It's too late for me. What would you say to somebody like that?
It's not too late, but you might have to hustle harder. And like I said, I'm 44, so I'm not that far away from 50. I did get started young, but I could have done more. So if you're that age, stay at your regular job, but add something to it. What are you passionate about? There's so many different ways to make money these days to get ahead. And any extra money that you don't need to live off of, use that to invest. I know my mindset has changed a lot over this past year. I'd always heard the advice, cut the coffee from Starbucks, cut your subscription services. But it really drove home to me this past year. It finally clicked. You should cut unnecessary expenses. Definitely. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. But these $5, $10, $20 a month, it is going to be hard if that's the only thing that you're doing to reach your goals. But if you're 50 and maybe you're passionate about gardening, maybe you can teach a gardening course on Sunday mornings. There are so many things that people want to learn and make and get help with, that if you have anything that you're good at, you can turn that into a money-making opportunity. And maybe that seems like a little salesman-y, a little sleazy, but for everything that you know, there's someone out there that's like willing to pay you to either gain that skill or have you do it for them.
Right. I think everybody has potential to add value. I think that one of the biggest hurdles for a lot of people is that they get in the way of their own potential. So, with that in mind, mindset being a big problem, would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And I do not want to paint the picture that I have that element all figured out. I am guilty of procrastination. I am guilty of some days not feeling very motivated to go out and do the things that I know would have better results. But if you just make the decision to work on it, once you become aware of it, that's actually the first step, I think, then you can start taking the steps to improve it. And I do not mean to say that that's easy. I still struggle with that. And I am putting out a lot of content, but there are definitely days where I don't feel like getting up, getting dressed, filming a video, editing a video. But if I really want to start increasing my earning capability, I have to do it. So at some point you have to make the choice of how bad do you really want it. And it does take discipline. But it's even for someone like me who's putting out a lot of content, who is trying to get these side hustles up and running, there are definitely still struggles, and mindset is definitely something that I believe everyone should work on. And it's something that I'm still working on myself as well.
So let me ask you then, when you're having those days where you're feeling discouraged and you're thinking, "Oh, maybe I can't succeed, or I'm not good enough." How do you cope with that? Are there any strategies?
Put one foot in front of the other. Do whatever little thing you can. Get up and get dressed and then see how you feel. Just really one step at a time. And there are times, and forgive yourself if you don't meet the goal. If you spend time being critical of yourself and you spend the rest of the day lamenting, oh, well, I meant to wake up at 8 and it's 10 a.m. and I just now got up, then you're wasting even more of your time being angry at yourself, where, forgive yourself. So you didn't wake up at 8 when you wanted to. It's 10 now. What can you still get done? Don't waste even more time being unkind to yourself. And again, I'm saying that because that's what I struggle with. I spend some time telling myself that I'm not pleased with my actions, and I don't think I'm doing myself any favors. So I'm really trying to work on that so that I don't lose that time out of my day too.
That makes sense. And you mentioned that for you, the goal is happiness, and it's around financial freedom and being able to retire. But I think one of the important parts of being successful is first knowing what success looks like. So let me ask you, do you have any personal goals that you're trying to achieve? Is there a number or a bar?
There is a preliminary number, and that's to have $1 million in net worth. I'm actually trying to hit that at the end of 2021. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm going to get there. I've gotten incredibly lucky in that I bought a house that has increased in value, and that's a large part of my financial picture. I just want to, outside of that, I suppose there's not a next step. I want to get to that goal first and then go from there. But something that I didn't mention is the reason I think why I focus so much on retirement is my whole life I've watched my mom struggle and have a hard time paying bills, have a hard time if there's an expense that comes up that she wasn't planning for. And since that's been the case my whole life, it's been something that I've been very aware of, that that's not what I want my situation to look like as when I'm her age. So, and she's wonderful. There's nothing wrong with her life. If I could take away her struggle, I would. And I'm aware that if I'm not careful, I could wind up in the same situation. And when I'm old, if my tire pops, I want to be able to buy a new tire and have it not stress me out. So that's where all that comes from.
No, it makes a lot of sense. One of the things I hear a lot from people whenever there's a conversation about building wealth and saving your money and budgeting is that either they say they don't want to live a scrappy life, or what's the point of earning money if you can't spend it? And so my question to you, is there ever a point where, okay, I've got enough, now I'm going to treat myself? Or is it just an endless journey for more and more?
So I also, even though I'm very aware of cutting expenses, I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, especially when everybody else in the office is having a Starbucks coffee and it looks delicious. Maybe I do buy one and I should probably stop that, but don't make yourself feel deprived, right? Because then you're going to resent your choices. But you can't say yes every single time. If your coworkers are buying Starbucks every single day, that is going to be a big dent in your budget. That coffee is it really is like extremely expensive. By the time you add tax and tip and all of that, it can really add up. We're both in the Graham Stephan mentorship. That's how we met. I can't remember if he said it in one of the group meetings or if he said it in one of the videos. This is going to sound so terrible. He said it in a very nice way. He called it lazy money. He doesn't like to spend lazy money. So for example, if he just doesn't feel like cooking and he wants to order out, he doesn't allow himself to do that because he's just being lazy. And I'm not calling anybody lazy that orders out, but I have to look at my choices. Do I really need to order Postmates, or can I go ahead and do I have something in the cabinet and I'm just not motivated enough to cook it for myself? And so I like to look at those choices. And then on the flip side of that, though, you have the time value of money. If I order DoorDash, could I be doing something more productive that would actually help increase my income to get me to my long-term goals faster? So for example, if I need to shoot a video that will make me money and I'm running late because I procrastinated, but it's still a better use of my time to go ahead and order DoorDash, not beat myself up about it, because in the long run, the video that I'm able to make because I didn't spend the time making dinner is a better investment of my time and money in the long run. So I don't beat myself up if I order DoorDash once in a while. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, that makes
all of that.
I think one of the neat things about you is that you're hyper focused on people who are really struggling, and you seem to have a ton of empathy, but not just empathy, you really understand the struggle. And I think a lot of people aren't aware that the less money you have, the more difficult regular stuff is. Like, I can drive my car to the store, but somebody who doesn't have a car has to pay extra because they're riding the bus. And I mean, you could just go on and on and on from there. And you end up in this situation where you have such limited resources that you're making these just incredibly difficult choices like, do I eat or do I wash my clothes? What would you say to somebody that's just struggling so much that they feel like they're having to make these difficult choices? How can they go from there and work themselves into a position where they're actually able to save a little something and start building wealth?
Don't be ashamed to ask for help. Don't be ashamed or embarrassed to use available resources to you. When I was growing up, I got food stamps. I think they call it EBT, CalFresh, or SNAP benefits now. I was incredibly embarrassed when my mom would pull those out at the grocery store. Now, my mom gets food stamps, and I'm proud of her for using those instead of struggling financially. So sometimes you have to let go of being embarrassed to ask for help or to accept assistance. I think there's a lot of resources available to people that you may need to research, but they are out there and there are ways, even if you're on an extremely limited budget, to to claw your way up. And sometimes you might have to claw, but it is possible. Something that comes up on my channel an awful lot, since it has focused on unemployment, is the holidays. People say, oh, right before the holidays, what are we going to do for the holidays? And this is what I tell my viewers. I do not remember not one present, not one from when I was growing up. What I remember are the memories that we had. And I don't think that you need gifts or expensive things in order to make those memories. Every Thanksgiving, my mom and I play Monopoly. She's really good at it. Get a board game. If you don't have a board game, see if a friend will lend you a board game. You don't need money to, as much as I was like, oh, I want money to be happy, but you don't need money to be happy. It can reduce your worry though.
Seems to be that there are a lot of people who do take the assistance, whether it be Section 8 housing or the food stamps, the EBT, but they get caught in some kind of perpetual trap where instead of these benefits being, a hand up to move them to the next level, they're still using the benefits 10, 20, 30 years later. And I'm not trying to say there's anything wrong with that, but my question to you is, why do you think that's the case?
Well, the system is set up in a way that doesn't promote success. I 100% have seen that firsthand. For example, you're not allowed to make very much money before they entirely cut you off. And most people are going to need a cushion. You need, I don't know whether it's a set number of months where you need to still be getting your assistance, but to build that cushion. I know, for example, to get food stamps, you're not supposed to have more than $2,000. I can't remember if it's in assets, like all your combined everything, or if it's just in a savings account. But of course, you're going to want to save money so that you can get off of the government assistance, but you're not allowed to save enough money to actually get off of the government assistance. So the system beats you down for trying to get ahead if you're on one of those programs. And absolutely get on those programs if you need them to make sure that your family is fed, to make sure that you have a roof over your head. But it is going to be harder to get off of the system once you're on. And I think I don't have the answers, but I think that that's definitely something that our government needs to look at. Allow people a little bit more wiggle room before you start taking away the benefits.
So the current system is both a blessing and a curse. What advice would you have for somebody who is taking the assistance and they feel like if they try to move up away from the assistance that it's going to hurt them? How can they break free of that trap?
It's really scary, and I don't pretend to have all the right answers. If you have a friend or a family member and you can move back in with them potentially for a little while, if you can figure out how to break free completely of the government assistance just for a little while, to go ahead and do it and to not be scared to do it, to believe in yourself. Is it going to be hard? Yes. Is it going to be scary? Probably. But if you take that leap of faith, then I believe that people can make it. I know, for example, I have a coworker and he started a business and it failed. But they say that people that take that step, that do it, have a much higher chance of succeeding in the future. So have a backup plan, have a friend you can stay with, have another alternate method so that you will still have a roof over your head or food on the table, but take those chances. I think you're going to do better off in the long run.
Yeah, and his business failed, but I bet he learned stuff.
Oh, exactly.
Valuable stuff. Right. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit.
All right.
Personal question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
The female version of Graham Stephan. I think there's not nearly enough female finance YouTubers, and I would love it if that's where I was at with my channel, if I were at that level. And it never hurts to aim really high. So that's going to be my final answer.
Well, you're certainly crushing it so far, so I think you're headed in the right direction.
Thank you.
All right, that's all the questions I have for you today. I know you're very busy, and I don't want to use all your time, but it's great to have you. And anything else that you want to say to the audience?
No, I don't think so. Thank you so much for having me on your channel. I've really been enjoying your content. I especially love, you know this, I love your YouTube thumbnail video that you created with Jack Selby. And I think people are sleeping on your channel. You have a lot of really great videos. So thank you for having me.
We got to do one more thing. Let's get a little J-Bay magic going.
Uh-oh. Are you talking about the glasses?
There it is. All right.
I did bring my glasses so that I could match your aesthetic here.
Love it. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time, you guys are awesome.